folks, I'm Andrea from Turn to the Stars, Intuitive Astrologer, and today is March 19th, and I'm going to be talking about more detail regarding this full moon we just had in Virgo, and also I'm going to be talking about the Mars-Venus square to Uranus and the Mars-Venus square to the nodes, the north node and the south node of the moon. And I'm also going to be talking about the astrology of the week ahead. We have the Sun conjunct Neptune, and if you remember, I talked about this last week, and I have on other shows before that. And so we're entering into the Aries spring equinox tomorrow, March 20th. And so I'm going to be talking about the Sun's movement from Pisces into Aries, regardless of what atmosphere you're in. This is a really huge shift. So I talked about the ending theme and preparing for the new as the Sun moves into Aries. From now until about April 11th, Jupiter is moving through Pisces and it's conjunct Neptune. It's not exact, but it is very close, and it is a historical event. And I talked about that on, I think, 2 shows ago, about the history of Neptune and Jupiter. As astrologers, we like to look at the history and things that happened in the past when these two powerful transpersonal planets come together. So it's at 18 degrees of Pisces now as I speak, and so Jupiter is conjunct Neptune in Pisces, and like I said before, I talked about this on other shows, and we just had a full moon yesterday, which was March 18th, and I spoke about the Virgo full moon on last week's show. So this is there's some really outrageous energy attached to this, and the full moon was at its peak of full light at 3:43 a.m. Eastern Daytime between Thursday and Friday. So depending on where you are on this planet Earth, you're going to have that full moon either on Thursday or Friday. So just going forward here, I want to talk a little bit about the Sabian symbol for that full moon in Virgo at 27 degrees 41 minutes, which is actually the 28th degree of Virgo when it comes to Sabian symbols. So I'm going to be reading you that, and then the moon moves quickly into Libra and is in Libra until Sunday. So it's, as I speak today, the moon is in Libra. So I created something that you're going to see in this email and on my website, which is a real help to understand what's best and what's most important on each day as the moon moves through the zodiac, because the moon is the closest body to us here on Earth. And so it has a very powerful influence over us. We're emotional creatures. So I created this tool, and I also included the cycles of the moon. And so it's a great help if you want to go there and look at that and print those things out and use as a helper in your day. You'll find that it helps you to be focused on what's most important on that day. So the moon on the full moon opposed Chiron and it squared Pluto. And then it goes into Scorpio. No, actually that's on Sunday. That's on, we've had that influence happen at the end of this week. Chiron squaring Pluto goes into Scorpio on Sunday until Monday, Tuesday. By Tuesday, she goes into Sagittarius. So if you look below, like I said before, I provided a free moon phase calendar with the moon through all the zodiac signs. It's very helpful to ground by following what is recommended and do as the moon moves through each zodiac sign. And I gave you a calendar of that on the front page of my email that's delivering this YouTube video as well. So the other big thing that I'm going to be talking about is Venus and Mars traveling through Aquarius. They've been traveling together for some time, and they will continue to, but Venus is taking the lead. She's moving ahead of Mars right now, and she will go into Pisces first, but as of now, there are, both Venus and Mars are approaching Saturn and squaring Uranus. So this week, they're going to be squaring Uranus, and then they're going to come up to conjoin with Saturn, meaning it's like they're approaching Saturn together. So Saturday, Venus, that's today, is an exact square with Uranus. And then next Tuesday, Mars will be in an exact square with Uranus and Taurus. So the full moon was in Virgo. And this is actually just more detail on that past full moon influence. It is waning now, but so I just want to talk a little bit more about Virgo energy, which is the Virgin who is independent, integrated, and strong. It's the healer energy in opposition to the Sun in Pisces. So this brings us to the Pisces Virgo axis. I call it the axis of initiation. We're being initiated, and this full moon is initiating us out of our own little world, our own little self, into relationship with another person, personally, romantically, intimately, business-wise, and socially. Finally, it's time to come out into Libra, and in order to do that, the full moon in Virgo has to do with work. It had to do with focus, analyzing, and effort. The joining in Pisces of Jupiter, Neptune, and Mercury, and the Sun in the past is about dreaming a new dream, fantasizing, imagining, and picture frames, meaning putting a framework around a particular vision within this picture. Songs and dances about the new earth and world that is in front of us. So the message of the full moon in Virgo was to get to work. Roll up your sleeves and make it happen. It's not going to happen unless you do the work. So this is the time to do the work. The Sun in Pisces is very, very passive. And Virgo is active effort. So the Sun, after a month in Pisces, is emerging into Aries. Pisces is the infinite to infinity and beyond, through which all desires emerge. So we're moving out from the infinite potential of Pisces and into individualized desire. Aries wants to penetrate, initiate, and to start new things because it's cardinal, meaning it's very active, and it's from the element of fire. So we're going to feel a shift in the energy this week from one of the more passive, which is Pisces, into where we need to be moving, exploring, and active. And so we're inspired toward dreaming and envisioning through the Pisces energy, but as the Sun moves into Aries, we're going to feel the need to manifest. So we are going to be busy making things happen. We'll be going after our dreams quite actively. So the Sun in Aries inspires us to individualize. And as the spring equinox comes tomorrow, it's a great time to meditate on and initialize, integrate, access your unconscious mind. And so, because spring is about moving forward, it's about new things growing, new things coming to light, reaching toward the light. And so that's what we're doing, and it's quite inspiring. Aries energy is fast and furious and likes to be busy, likes to be moving, likes to be actively going after things and exploring new areas of life, and quite inventive also, and brave in that perspective. So So the sun in Aries is going to inspire us to individualize. But I want to talk a little bit more about Mars and Venus in Aquarius because they're coming into a third quarter square. Its message is one of crisis of consciousness, which is a square. This is the time in this cycle that the challenge to change and let go is very prominent. So the sun's going to stay in, actually, I'm going to be talking about Uranus here. Uranus is going to stay in Taurus until 2025. So Uranus is shaking things up. Uranus is the planet of personal unconscious. And what do we do with our unconscious? Normally, we project in unawareness of the need to individualize and are not aware of the need to reinvent ourselves, and we aren't aware of the need to innovate and constantly evolve into something different, unique. It's a unique expression of source. So Uranus often manifests as sudden, unpredictable events, sometimes causing trauma. And boy, do I know about that because I have Uranus in Taurus in my fourth house of home and living and family. Talk about shakeups and unexpected events. So I can really align with that. Uranus is the alarm clock going off. Its energy forces that wake us up. So as Uranus is moving through Taurus, which is to do with banks, money, inflation, supply lines, food, clothing, shelter, it has caused unexpected and sudden downs in currency. It's caused things to turn upside down, and it's going to continue on in this way. So it becomes necessary for us to invent new ways of keeping our money, spending our money, becoming more self-sufficient in order to survive and get food, clothing, and shelter. So it wants us to be inventive. It wants us to think outside the box. And if we fight that, it will have, we're going to have these experiences that move us and initialize us and push us into that change. So the other thing we have now is we have Venus and Mars in Aquarius, as I talked about before, squaring Uranus in Taurus. Venus and Mars moving through Aquarius is the initial or signature of Venus, the feminine, and Mars, the masculine. So with Aquarius, we need to think about rebellion. It's about stepping into the future. This opens our eyes to the need to let go of the old, the conventional, the known, the familiar, the safe and secure, and then think about things in a very different way. So this third quarter square in the cycle of the Venus square Uranus is challenging us to focus ourselves on feminine ability to receive, love ourselves unconditionally, and to bring beauty, harmony, and peace into our communities. And so Aquarius is also, we have to think about the collective consciousness expanding out beyond our community through technology to the world, to global communities, in Venusian loving ways. Venus is the planet of love, and Mars is the planet of war, or the masculine. So one is active, the other acts in loving ways and creative ways. That's Taurus. So it is devoting ourselves personally to creating connections with a greater community of like-minded people and progressively liberate ourselves from old forms and old structures of support. The challenge is to get past the old patriarchy, the old paradigm, the old economy, the old healthcare systems, the old governments, and go forward. So in talking about Mars a little bit more, I would also have to share that the Mars is also coming into this third quarter square, and this has to do with the crisis of sudden, unpredictable events that shock us into making changes. We need to be a force of change or be forced to change and evolve. As I said earlier, this is about moving forward in radical new ways. So we had to get out of the dreamland. This influences the collective unconscious, which is all the things we know. It's like if you're stirring around beneath the level of awareness. So there's a lot of psychosis, neurosis, and autoimmune disorders. We could feel like we're in the twilight zone. Things seem somewhat surreal. So until Jupiter moves into Aries, which will on May 11th, we have the Sun moving into Aries on March 20th. That's tomorrow. So this is like a personal shift inward. We need to walk into the darkness and be brave. Each one of us individually needs to step into the night, walk through this darkness, and this is going to bring us tremendous revelations this week. Jupiter is about truth, and so the truth is going to be revealed. The truth may be unsettling and shocking, so it's important that we remember this as this week proceeds. This is a time to set new projects in motion and begin new adventures of service. The inspiration will be to go where no man has gone before, like in Star Wars. And I'm going to add that this past full moon in Virgo is now waning, so it's lessening in light as it moves through Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces over the next 2 weeks. So there's a certain combination. I don't think I mentioned the Sabian symbol for this degree of Virgo in last week's show. The symbol and picture this paints is one of a bald-headed man who has seized power. Who does that make you think about in this current day? So this symbol shows a personality that wants to seize power and take hold of situations. The fact that the symbol shows a bald man implies someone with experience, perhaps older, someone willing and able to take a stand and take charge. So this picture is one of someone who's seizing power and pushing forward with decisions that need to be grounded. It is by force of will that solutions will be found, but one must be careful to temper situations as displays of masculine egoic will can get out of hand very quickly. This degree sometimes needs to be handled with caution, as it can bring you into the forces of mean people who are bullies, and they have a dominating mental space to be in control, and male hormones run rampant. So the story of, I don't know if you remember the story of Samson and his hair, that is very much relevant with this Sabian symbol. You're going to see people with uniforms. It's going to be a lot of cruelty that may play out. Commanding and strong and the government are all focused through the Sabian symbol. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the some of the things that we might be experiencing or feeling, which is pushing too hard or too fast, ramming convictions, demanding and bossy, power tripping, strict rules to live by, taking over, not listening nor caring, corruption. This is an intense urge for cathartic changes, which mobilizes the will, and traumatic decisions are made. At such times, the issue has to be met, and ruthless as the power may appear, must be accepted. This stage we are facing is one of massive, massive transformation. Everything bows to the power of the will. After reading this, as humans, we need to be, really after reading all that, we really need to take a little breath after reading that Sabian symbol of this full moon, because what comes to my mind is Putin and the powerful destruction he's causing. And I've heard a couple different astrologers also refer to Klaus Schwab. That's Klauschwab. He is also bald and has been labeled the most dangerous man alive on Earth. He's the founder of the World Economic Forum. He's the author of the Fourth Industrial Revolution and the time of this and of the book of the Great Reset on Earth. He started a school of grooming to help groom leaders for the future worlds like Putin. He's got an old German accent, and it could appear he studied under Hitler. I don't want to talk too much about these global world affairs, but this is real and this is happening in the world, and there has been talk about war. So some say Putin is after biological laboratories that the US set up over in the Ukraine. And in the news, some are saying that this is obvious. Since 1997, 19 nations have joined NATO, getting closer and closer to the borders of Russia. Ukraine wanting to join NATO brings NATO and all the Western forces directly to the borders of Russia. A majority is saying Putin is a monster, and he has no business doing this, that is, invading other countries. He's aligned with communism in China, so it seems. There are many forces beyond our control. This is the south node of the moon moving through Scorpio from January 18th through July of 2023. And the south node talks about the past. And the south node is in Scorpio, or the dragon's tail, and it has to do with dark energies or de-evolution. It's in this, and it talks about the secrets and the hidden agreements. So there's many covert actions and forces beyond our control. The victims of these dark forces are at the mercy of these forces again, and it is truly beyond our control. This is why I'm bringing up the choice is to be either a victim or to be strong, moving in stable, consistent, with stability. So the choice becomes, and it was really accented by this full moon in Virgo, to stay in Pisces, which is the sign of martyrs and victims on the more mundane side, which is the sign of martyrs and victims. We can stay in Scorpio at the mercy of forces beyond our control, which is death, nations, nature, or whatever it is, or to move like the sun into Aries and become a strong beacon of standing strong in the face of adversity. So a little bit more about the North Node, or the dragon's head in Taurus. It suggests we will be most fulfilled by becoming self-sufficient and grounded in unconditional self-love. That is, we become able to accept and receive the goodness and the beauty and the love and the joy in life. So there's a choice here, and it's really important that we recognize this. The message behind this past full moon in Virgo opposite Chiron encourages us to put more effort into working and creating a sustainable and more natural avenue for self-survival. So I'm going to talk a little bit here about the picture of Putin and Klaus that can be seen in the news shaking hands. I'm going to put a link below my video that you can look at and hear about who Klaus Schwab is. He's the author of a book, COVID-19, The Great Reset, You have to listen to this. It's unbelievable. It appears that these leaders, Klaus, Putin, and others that I'm not going to mention right now, are part of a master plot to devalue the dollar, to make inflation, ruin supply chains, and destroy academies as a part of a great reset. So whether he is joining up with China to bring down the United States and devalue the dollar and all kinds of traumatic catastrophes, that reality remains. The reality remains that our world is changing. So I would like to talk a little bit more about the changes in currency and remind us that we all need to stick together and focus together and grow our own food and look at our health. Virgo is about health, it's about food, it's about sustainability. And as I was researching to plan for this show, I came across this medical doctor, Zach Bush. I'm going to put the link below in the video, below this video, which is zachbushmd.com/about. He talks about our fate and the extinction events that are coming and says that we are destroying the soil, the water, the rain, and the crops. So the question becomes, what do we need? He says we need alternative sources of food, new sources of energy, new sources of love, and new sources of joy. And so I'm going to go on to talk about Venus, then Mars, and Saturn, as they're all going to square the moon's nodes, meaning the direction we're meant to go, the north node or the dragon's head, or the south node, the past, the dragon's tail. And we need to note that Saturn square is building and squares the nodes exactly on April 22nd. So we're in a huge piece where we're walking through this darkness to get on the other side. So anything that you can do to stay positive and encourage yourself and others is going to become very important. And so I'm going to add that Mars is exactly conjunct or beside Saturn and squares the moon's nodes at 22 degrees Aquarius. So if you have planets in Taurus or Scorpio, you really know what I'm talking about. We're getting sign after sign and revelation after revelation to move on and co-create alternative lifestyles. So I'm going to put below a link to the Academy Ideas, which talks about the world that mentions the parallel societies necessary and needed to plant new seeds for the future. This is what may be needed to birth the age of Aquarius. So we're going to need to walk through this dark. Maybe we need to go underground, like the seed goes underground and then it comes up in springtime. So 2025, 2026, and 2027 marks our spring. So from where we're at 2022 toward 2025 is like we're walking through the winter when there's not much light. And so we're really going to need to pull together and be brave through this time. And we're going to need to remind ourselves of not becoming a victim, but to be a brave force to this darkness or winter in time we're in right now. So this is absolutely appropriate for the full moon that just passed. As the sun moves out of Pisces and into Aries, Venus and Mars in Aquarius will square Uranus and the North Node in Taurus, and we'll become much more aware of our choices. So I'm going to encourage you to go slow, take your time, keep your face to the light, and if change is showing its face right in front of you, flow with it. And I'm going to also put a link below to a very motivational video about moving through the darkness to the light. We need these type of motivational supports as we move through the dark. So I'm going to put that link below also. So I want to remind everyone that if you're a Pisces, you have from today till tomorrow to register and save 20% off your reading. And tomorrow, the sun moving into Aries is going to provide 20% off for all Aries. So, everyone, just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm going to be coming back this week one more time with another video on the Aries new moon, which comes on April 1st, on April Fool's Day. So hopefully we're not going to be fooled. And so thanks for tuning in. Take good care. Remember, turn to the stars and you'll find your answers there. See you then.